Hey guys, your girl Remedy the Music here, aka Lynette Wortham with TrueFulfillment.us. I want to make this quick video to acknowledge that I misspoke my website. It is TrueFulfillment.us, not .com. I will make that correction in the show notes as well as in the comment section below this video. There will be a link to my special guest Amazon book and some more free goodies. So I appreciate you guys so very much for watching the video in its entirety. From my heart to yours, thank you, and I love you. Bye, guys. Hey, guys, this is your girl Remedy the Music, aka Lynette Wortham, here with TrueFulfillment.com, and I am honored to present my first guest, my bestie, Calum. He's also known as Furl Zox, but he's a world-renowned author of the amazing book that I can't wait to get my hands on. It's getting shipped here, so I should have it by Friday. A Message to My Muse, Through Pain Until Peace. And we were talking off camera about his experience in the hospital yesterday. His pain got him there about 14 hours or so. And while he was waiting in the emergency room, he's out there providing some, how do you call it? I'll let him share the story. Go ahead.
Just mental health support for people. It's something I've been doing for 20 years of my life, nearly 21 now, which is quite shocking considering I started at 15 years old. And most people didn't know who I was when I started doing it. It was all anonymous, and some 15-year-old kids giving advice to people that are full-grown adults. And it was a lot to start off with. When I started my helpline, I had 8 years that I did it for, and I had over 10,000 people come to me for help. And it's just a damning indictment of the mental health services out there available for people at the time. They were non-existent. You'd go and ask for help, you wouldn't get it. So I decided myself to start supporting people because I wanted to be at the forefront of making sure that people weren't getting to a level of darkness that they couldn't come back from. Whereas I'd been close to it myself. It's not something that you want to see of other people. And the fact that I'd been there and I knew as a young adult that there was no help for me made it something that I wanted to achieve more. So I went out there to try and do that. As I say, I had to shut it down at 23 years old because I'd started to suffer when I lost a few people that I was supporting. But I never stopped to fight the fight for mental health services and to try and break the stigma of it and to make sure that other people didn't have some form of support. And it really is just making sure that people feel like they've got a friend, because the world's a lonely place without having someone to talk to.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that, with having no one in their life and feeling like if they talk to someone, they're not heard, like they're misunderstood. Tell me.
There's a growing thing now where it's getting less like that over time. When I was brought up being male, I was told I wasn't allowed feelings. You're not allowed to have feelings. You're not allowed to show your feelings. If you do, it's a weakness. And I've learned over time that it's not actually a weakness. It's just the greatest strength you could ever have to be open about who you are, be honest about who you are. And if people accept you then for who you are, they're accepting your true self rather than the mask that everybody seems to put on social media these days. because you will see so many people publishing photos and statuses and stories about their lives. But if you knew the true person behind that, you'd be like, well, that makes no sense because that's not you. It's all a show. We're all trying to chase the dopamine hit that social media gives us, but that's not the fix for our issues mentally. It's not the fix for anything, really. It's just a short-term release of happiness that somebody's liked my piece, somebody's liked my photo, somebody liked my status. They care. But let's face it, it's so easy to just double tap on a picture or to click the little thumbs up button. It's not an actual effort. So for somebody to do that doesn't actually show any care at all.
Yeah.
The real care is shown when they turn up when they're having a bad day and they're still there for you, or if you're just struggling on a daily basis and someone stranger in the street comes up to you and starts to speak to you and then supports you through. That's the real kind of dopamine we need. It's a connection. It's a human condition. We are, as humans, a social species, and we don't get enough of it. We've got less of it now with this worldwide capability that we've got with the internet than we had in the late 70s, where communities would actually know each other's name. You would know every neighbour on your street, and you'd all talk to each other, and as you're walking down the street you'd say hi, and people would leave the doors open because they trusted the neighbours. And now we've got to a modern time where we've got masses of capability of connection, where we can go online and we can talk to whoever we want anywhere in the world, but absolutely zero human connection. Because none of us go outside to see the world, really. None of us want to go meet our neighbours. You know, we're all stressed about what our neighbours may be behind closed doors because we're shown in the media that anybody, absolutely anybody, could be the worst of humanity. And they try and feed you that narrative to make sure that you stay scared. And if you don't kind of break the cycle that is in place right now, we're never going to get back to that time where the community actually united around each other. Like, I don't know whether you've ever had a day where one of your neighbours has been struggling with something and your community's actually stepped up and gone out to support them. But I remember my granddad telling me a story. He used to own he owned 4 businesses and worked for another business at the same time. And his mobile shop that he used to have, he used to drive around. And there were so many families in the area that couldn't afford food. So my granddad, to the day that he died, was still getting paid back little by little by these families that he'd just given things to make sure that the kids were fed, to make sure that the parents still had enough money, had enough energy to go work to earn the money to pay for the schools uniforms and the clothes that the kids needed, and to make sure that they could pay for the food that they needed to put on the kids' tables. And he did this because that was just how he was raised. You know, this is a genuine gentleman of the old days, where if you can help someone, you help them. If you don't have the capability, don't put yourself in there, because if you don't have the capability to do it and you don't have the right kind of compassion for people to do it, you're actually going to cause more harm than good.
Yeah. Give
So
from
he
your
had the
overflow.
opportunity, he went and did it, and these people were so thankful that even in his mid-80s, just before he passed away, they were still finding him in the street and like, I remember you from the mobile shop. You used to come round every week. You give us a couple of sweets, and then my parents would come on and get the groceries and everything, and they still owed you money. Here's a little bit towards it. And he never really wanted all of it back. He was, as I said, he was like 80 odd year old living on his pension at the time. He was fine, but he never also turned them away at that time because they were trying to repay the kindness that he'd shown them, and they needed that for themselves
Yeah.
because everyone needs to feel like they've earned what they've got.
Yeah, that they made some sort of contribution. Also to go back and what you were saying about like social media, and you're posting these images and these comments and things like that, being in a way inauthentic. And once they get to learn and know you, um,
Yeah, it's I forget the term. My brain's not fully working today with the pain, but I forget the term that it's used. But it's like they call it the social media parent or the social media
are you referring
aesthetic.
to
That
imposter syndrome?
no, it's not so much an imposter syndrome. It's like they've got to portray that they are this
Yeah.
perfect family or this perfect person, and then behind the scenes they could be the most evil person on earth. Like, let's face it, you've got the likes of Trump and things like that that post whatever they want. They're
Hmm.
not being in that aesthetic of being dishonest. He knows that he's an idiot and that he hates a lot of things in the world and he wants to change them for benefit himself. But he will be honest about it and he'll post it with true honesty from himself.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got other people that have all these feelings towards things and want to support people, but they'll be posting trying to make their life look perfect first because that's the way that the algorithm works.
Ah,
And that's what
okay.
pushes them to more fame and more fortune in social media. Now, I know you know me from mine. My social media sits there for months on end. I don't really post. I don't care. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I'm not really fussed. It's not for me. I post
Yeah.
it out there. My poems go out there just if people read it, they take something from it. Maybe it saves a life. And several have like messaged me in the past where they've said, "I read your piece. I realise now I'm not alone. I've been fighting depression and anxiety and all these things, and I'm not alone in it. And it's given me a bit of strength. Now, that in itself is much more worth than, say, 10,000 little hearts. One message, one person that says it's made a difference. And that's why I do it more of a genuine way with myself because I'm like, what's the point otherwise? If you're not being true to your own heart.
Yeah. That's
Now,
a leader.
no,
That has been my level of emotion today, my elevated emotion. I try to every day focus on one elevated emotion instead of trying to do several things. And mine's today is a leader. And I'm so glad that you are leading by example, not
well,
looking for
as you
the
know, with
outside
me,
world to validate you.
I'm never gonna be anything but myself. I'm honest, and I'll say I'm not a nice guy, and I'm not a bad guy. I'm just me. Some days I could be the last person you want to talk to because my pain's taken all of my energy, and I will be. I'm trying to think of a polite term to use for this, but there isn't one. So I'll just not say the word. But I'm not always in the greatest state of mind. I deal with a lot. I try to help, but some days you just need to shut off and keep away from people, and that's how you help them because you're not in their space and you're not bringing them down. Other days I'm in a great mood, even in spite of being in pain, and I'll be out there helping everybody, and that's like a good 75 to 90% of my days. Even against my pain, I'll go out and I'll support people and I'll do what I can. but you've always got to account for the fact that you will have bad days and you will be that person that you don't want to be. It's in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
all capable of doing the worst things in humanity, but we can make sure we don't. We can try and change our mindset to focus on that day we stay away from social media, that day we stay away from the likes of Twitch and Kick and all those other things, and we don't go around the communities that we're part of because it will bring other people down, or you might say something that's taken in anger afterwards and you lose a good friend because of it.
That's a
And
level of awareness about oneself.
yeah,
Um,
well,
that's
we,
very
we all we
powerful.
all should have that. Really, like we are all
Yeah.
ourselves, so we have to have an awareness of who we are, and
Hmm.
it takes a long time to discover who you are. Like we're told that we've got to fit into these categories all our lives, and the only category we've got to fit into is human. We're all freaking
Wow.
human, and we'll
Yeah.
all make mistakes, and we'll all have really great days where we do loads of good for the world. But it's learning to see where those days are.
And I would like for those who are going to be watching this later, to learn about the advice you've given this one woman in the waiting room, um, that she basically, background story, she tried to commit suicide. And thankfully she didn't, but I'm also grateful she had the opportunity to meet you yesterday. So tell me
Uh,
how that interaction went.
I think a little bit about that was kind of fated because we all end up where we're supposed to be eventually
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis. So the fact that I was there that day, I don't put it down to anything other than a coincidence that was meant to be. It wasn't anything putting me there other than my own situation and my own health being in a bad place. But yeah, the coincidence was that someone was there. They'd been struggling with mental health issues and they were focusing completely on the negative. So I've had a bad day. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. I can't get out of it. And they were cycling because if you are in that state of mind, you stay in the negative and you'll start to see only the negative. So your day to day goes where you'll be like, I wake up, say you go into the kitchen, try and make yourself a cuppa, and you spill the water. Instantly, that's the worst thing that could happen to you, and your day's going to spiral from there because you are only seen in this negative mindset. But we don't have to do that. We take the small steps towards changing our mindset, which is, it sounds really simple, but it's not. Because when you're stuck in a depression and your negativity's there, it can eat you alive. But I started out mine where when I was younger and I was struggling, it was a small win program. And it was something that I just started doing myself. So it would be, I'd wake up and the first thing I did before I even walked out of the room was make the bed. Made the bed, I've achieved something. Now, it seems so simple to everyone else, and there's now a lot of people going with this mindset in psychiatric circles that I've seen, that you take that opportunity, you've done something, you've achieved something. Now, no matter what happens in that day, they can't take that away from me. That's my win. It's
That's your
going to
win for the
remain
day.
that way.
Yeah.
Now, you get up from there, you take your shower, you get dressed. That's another win. Just the fact that you've managed to get yourself out of bed and face this world, which, let's face it, is hard to live in. Like, if you look at the media these days, there's wars going on, there's people attacking each other, there's thefts, there's murders, it's everywhere. Where's the positivity? Do you see any positivity on media? It's not there. The news just reports all the hell. And we get stuck in our cycles because of it. The only positives I've ever seen on the news, the sports. And the positives only for the winning team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
The
Gotcha.
losing
Yeah.
team's getting a negative shoved right down the throat. But the winning team, there's your positive, and that's it. It's either that or maybe you can include the weather, but that's not always so positive, especially not in the UK. It's always raining. So it was taking the little wins. So you get to that point, and then you're thinking, okay, so I've done a few weeks getting these small wins. How can I push myself? How can I continue to grow? And you take like an intermediary win. So you've got your one win, then you get your next step. So you do something that's a little bit harder to achieve. So say you deal with anxiety when you go out and you need to do some shopping and you usually do it online. But today you take that opportunity to go to the shops around other people. Now, I'm not saying you have to interact with any of them, but you've pushed yourself. You're growing out of your comfort zone. And it's
Yeah.
going to be difficult and you're going to feel all the anxiety while you're out there, but you're growing out of your comfort zone because you're doing something that is quite monumental to you. And you're not going to want to do it. And you may struggle once you actually get there. But the fact that you're trying is the biggest sign. You don't have to achieve the end goal straight away. You can work towards, but you're trying these things. You're trying to work towards something. But then I set myself an impossible goal, which it's trying to give yourself the mindset that even the hardest things are achievable if you try hard enough. So it's something you would always see as impossible. So the ways that I used to look at it were because I'm disabled, I can't go out and enjoy my life and do things that other people can do. And I'm learning to deal with this disability, but maybe I can set myself one big impossible goal for the year and go to a gig, watch a band. Now, it's a great enjoyment that you're getting to have. It's something that you love, but the anxiety and the depression eats away at you. In my case, the disability eats away at you coming up to the time and you start worrying about whether you're going to be able to achieve it. So you may have already bought the tickets, but can you get there? Will the trains run on time? Do they have a disabled room at the hotel nearby so that you can stay there? Things like that. And it's all these extra stresses that come at you that cause it to be like it's an impossible reach. Because now I'm scared. And I'm trying. I want to get to this thing, but I'm scared of what happens if one thing goes wrong along the way. Will it derail the entire plan? Will I end up stuck somewhere? And once you get to the point where you've got through all of that and things went smoothly, which they don't always, but they went smoothly, we'll go with that one for now. And you get to the end of it and you get to sit there and watch one of your favorite bands or musicians or go even just go into the cinemas, something that you've not been able to achieve for a while because of certain conditions, anything like that, going on holiday. Like I know you were just starting some traveling in the past and it's something that you'd not really done, but it's you're pushing yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a chase of something that is outside of us because our normality holds us prisoner. We sit in our own little homes, safe, but not actually experiencing life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll sit there for years and we'll not actually see anything that we've not already seen a million times before. And I can state that from myself quite literally because I've spent the last 3 months rewatching shows that I've already watched 3 or 4 times because I have nothing else to do with my day. Because it's really difficult for me to get out in the wheelchair and do things. So I'm re-experiencing experiences I've already experienced. And granted, the great shows, I'm not going to lie, but it's not something you want to do with all of your time because time's precious. We only get one life, and if we waste it all just sitting there rewatching things over and over again, what are we actually chasing? What are we actually here for? What's our end goal? When we get to the end, do we want to get there with all the regrets of the life that we could have lived, or do we want to say, you know what, I did it. I've got skin knees. I've burnt out. My body's broken, but I did it, and that
But
was
I
a hell
did
of a
it.
ride. And
That's
that,
what one of my mentors has said about like if it's the end of his life, what would be the last thing he want to say is that what a hell of a ride,
yeah,
basically. So yeah,
no regrets.
no regrets. Absolutely.
Because if you're going to have things like that where you're thinking back, I should have, I would have, I could have, you're going to ruminate on it for hours every day. You're wasting more time.
Mhm.
And as much as people want money in the bank, time is the most precious commodity anybody owns because you never know how much you've got. Because today could be your last day, could be my last day, but
Mhm.
we've got today. So
We have
you
the
try
present
and
moment.
make something for it. I always remember the saying that yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift.
Mhm.
So you wake up with every day living for that day. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about 6 months down the line. Today's my day.
Today's my gift.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to use my time as wisely as I can. And some days that is literally just lying on the couch and watching TV and just being in your own space because you can't face life. And those days are okay too.
Those days are okay
You
too.
can't
Yeah.
discount them because they're needed for our soul. You know, we can't just always be on the push. You're burning out all that energy and you're throwing it out to the world and you've got none left for yourself, and then you look at yourself at the end of the day and you're like, what did I do with it all? I gave it all to everyone else, and what's left for me?
Mm-hmm.
And we're all guilty of that. Yeah, we all have this people pleasing side of us. Unless you meet the dark triad in psychiatry terms, then they don't really have it in them because they're where the sociopaths, narcissists, and psychopaths come from, but they don't have the capability of feeling those emotions. But
Mm-hmm.
we are all trying. We meet people who want to be able to be supportive and make them have a good day. Even on our worst days, we want to be able to do it. But if we've not got that energy for ourselves, we've not got it to give to anybody else. So
Yeah.
you've got to take the relaxed day. Like I think it was a few months ago, I turned around and said to you when you were starting to feel a bit burnt out, go get a spa day, go chill out,
Yeah.
get yourself a massage, get yourself a scrub, whatever they're doing, just pamper yourself.
Yep. Self-care day.
Get what you deserve for you that you've earned by being you.
Yeah.
Now, my chill days, my pamper days are me going on the PlayStation and playing games. It's my
And
escape
getting
from
reported
reality. Yeah, yeah, getting reported for so-called hacking, but yeah,
for so-called hacker. Yeah. He's not a hacker. He's
I,
just damn
I,
good.
I'm I was a lot better before I got injured,
Mm.
which is scary to think how many times I must have been reported back then.
Yeah.
But back in those days, it didn't happen as much. It was like we'd all just deal with the fact that people could be better than us. People have skill levels and they can surpass yours, but now we've got these participation medals for everybody where it's like, you took part, you deserve the win. What? I'm sorry, what? If I've not put the effort in and I've not learned it, I don't deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
I've been
sense.
brought up to earn everything, which is why when I was actually capable of working, I was doing over 100 hours every week, working 7 days a week, because if I wanted something, I had to earn it. So I was trying to build a future. So I'm earning the money in my youth when I've got the body to do so. so that I'd have been able to buy a house, car, and get my life sorted and hopefully retire early. That was the plan. Granted, things changed the plan and a machine fell on me, but the new plan is now to be in this existence because I can't change it. I have no control over that. And if I have no control over it, it's not a worry of mine. I can't focus on those. That's another negative. Anything outside my scope of control is another negative because I can't change it. I can only control myself, my actions, and my thoughts and move myself along. Other people, I can try and give them advice, but I can't control that. It's their choice to take it. It's their choice to move along. And if they don't, they may go a different way and end up really successful on their own way. It's their own path. But they'll learn lessons along the way still. Whereas I've learned mine through the mistakes that I've made. And that doesn't say that I know everything. I'm still learning.
We're always still learning.
I'm still making those same mistakes.
Yeah. That's part of life experience there.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get a hold of your book before we plug your book, because that's what I want to do, can you share a little bit about what's inside the book if someone is interested in buying it?
My book is a journey through the last 8 years of my life in mental health, of my own mental health, should I say, and the positivities that came from it as well. So it's not all a negative book. It's basically a message that nothing in life you do will come without a cost. Even the simple thing of us talking right now, we are costing ourselves time and we are costing ourselves precious seconds that we could be spending elsewhere, but we've chosen to do this. So it's going to cost us something, but we don't know what. The very essence of life, you're breathing, so that's costing you time. Like, you're here, every second's going, and it seems scary when you think of it that way, but you can make things happen within that time. You can use it wisely, you can learn, you can grow, you can become a better version of yourself. Now, I wasn't always this way. I used to be a rough kid from a rough neighborhood, and I wasn't the nicest person. I didn't take it out on other people. I put it inward for most of my life, and that's what caused my depression when I was younger. But I didn't go to school very often. I used to sneak out and go fishing or go playing snooker. I didn't want to do those things. I didn't want to be around people. I still went back and passed all my exams without doing the education because I'd learned other ways. I'd spent my time watching documentaries, watching things on the internet, using books to learn things outside of school. It was just my personal way of learning. I didn't want to be around the crowd. I like my own space. Like, even as simple as now, where I've learned how to build a computer, I did so through going on the internet, researching each part of it. I didn't just buy the parts and start plonking them together and say, well, it broke. You watch other people do it. You will read the books that say how it works. And then you've still got much more learning afterwards to do. And then they go and upgrade everything a year later and you have to start again.
Yeah.
So it's a constant journey. You're never going to just say, I'm at my end, I've done this, I've done that. But we're all just on it. And you take your little wins every day along the way so that you constantly keep yourself upbeat enough to move along. And you know me, I have my 0F's attitude towards life because I don't care what other people think of me, and I don't care what I think of me. I just do what I need to do. I've had so many nasty things said to me over my years that could have knocked me off my stride and made me feel like I wasn't worthy of the life that I've got. I overcame them because I just don't care. I don't care about the other people's opinions of me and what I look like or what I'm doing with my life. It's mine. Why should you get to have an opinion on my life and what I'm doing with it? I'm choosing to go out and stream and write my book and all these little things, but they're mine and it's my story. And other people will always try and jump on you and throw it down your throat that they know better. But you can't tell somebody that because you don't know what that person's story is at that particular time. They could be having a horrendous time in their life and you're going in there screaming at them, telling them that you know better. Well, what's that achieving? What's that bringing to the forefront for that person? It's bringing more negativity. And then they fall further into that backward cycle. That's why I stopped caring what other people were throwing at me, because if I'm letting all that negativity stick to me, then it's going to weigh me down. It's going to hold me back. And
It's a valuable lesson, letting
I'd
go.
rather rise above. Yeah. Now, there are people that have got to me in the past that are still on a list somewhere. You know, they were really badly wronging me, but I've not done anything with that kind of thing. It's just I know that that person's never allowed back in my life. You know,
Yeah.
I can't have that kind of negativity around me because it was so oppressive that even with I don't care attitude, it got to me. It puts you down and it becomes too much to even comprehend for yourself when you sat there thinking about it. You're like, how did I let this get to me? Why did I even allow them close enough to get to me? But it's yet another mistake that we learn from. And everything's set out there to test you in life. You'll find it all over. And you just got to break through.
Yeah, you got to rise above, like you said.
One foot after the other, or in my case, one wheel beside the other.
He's so intelligent. I do appreciate you being so candid and coming out and doing this with me. It was just so random. I was like, hey, can we record our conversation? And you
I
guys
normally
can see
wouldn't have,
why.
but you know, as I said in the past, there's certain people that you come across that you just know are genuinely out there to support, and that's it. There's nothing selfish in the heart, and they're the kind of people that the world needs to see more of, and you're one of them. And
Thanks.
we'll get there eventually if we keep fighting back against the people that are oppressing.
So tell people how they can get a hold of your book should they wish to purchase your book.
If anybody does wish to purchase it, it's available on Amazon, on every Amazon around the world. It's A Message to My Muse through pain until peace. And as I say, it's an 8-year journey through dealing with my disability, dealing with breakup, dealing with the pain of the past. And it starts off with a piece called The Realization of Time. And it was written in 2014 when I realized that I was spending all my time out there trying to please the people near me. I was living for them. And I was never truly going out there to enjoy my life, to showcase what life could be to my daughter. And she was only young at the time, and I made the decision to change everything. I wasn't going to live in fear of what I could be anymore. I wasn't also going to believe that I could become crazy famous or anything like that. That's not for me. I don't want to be in that in the public eye. But I wasn't going to live in fear of what could be. And I was always going to try and do something to help. So like the seasonal support streams that you know about came about through this mindset. It was, I can do something that brings people together at a time when people need it the most. When everybody's lonely around Christmas, I'll create a seasonal support stream and we'll chain round 24 hours. And that's how it started out, just 24 hours. And it was Christmas Day straight through midnight to midnight. And the first year was my first ever time streaming. Never done it before. We got some bigger named streamers in with us. Oh, I'd say mid-range, but bigger to me. And it went fantastic. The second year felt more of a struggle because the interest in joining into it wasn't there as much. And I thought that we were going to fail, but I'd also increased the time to 48 hours. So we doubled the day and lessened the amount of people taking part. So I threw myself wholeheartedly into it and did about 17, 18 hours of this over the days, but split up into gaps between everybody else's streams to cover it. And didn't sleep very well for it. And by the end of it, I was feeling that burnt out. I need to walk away from this for now and rest for a month. And I did.
Yeah.
I actually took the entirety of January off because I couldn't get on with the job that I was planning to do in streaming because I was too tired. There was nothing left inside of me. And I knew what I'd done. And the year after that, with our third year last year, we got everybody together a bit more organised and had the 48 hours covered, even switching some at the last minute. And I got a bit more time off, but my blocks were better spread out and I didn't burn myself out. And I know that only one person tried to, and I told him off for it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, I know what's coming here. I did this last year. We're not going down that path. You're going to just give up a couple of your hours here and we'll let somebody else take part. But the amount of people that message afterwards and say, thank you for this, for being there when I'm stuck at home on Christmas Day on my own and there's no family around that I can call. So gaming's my escape and I've come to game and you get to join in with the streamer and things like that. And it's amazing. And it's all open communities, so it doesn't matter what is going on in your life. Like there's no racism, no sexism, no bias of any kind allowed in there. The streamers are all supportive of everybody. And that's the biggest and most beautiful thing about it. It's
that
the welcoming
connection, that
nature.
interconnection.
It's the welcoming nature of everybody. Because like we're all from different walks of life, but as I said before, we are all human.
We're all people. Yeah.
That's it. Underneath everything, we are all one and the same.
We're connected. I've been saying that for a while.
And people like to think that they split off into different groups. We don't. We just enjoy different things.
Yeah.
Just because your taste in music or your taste in films is slightly different to somebody else's does not mean you're part of a different group. You're still human. Just because you're from certain countries doesn't mean anything else. You're still human. We're all one and the same. We all actually have the same freaking goal to live on a happier, safer, and more well-protected Earth. Unfortunately, the top dogs of this, the ones making the most money right now, and the governments, don't want us to go down that path. They don't want us to support each other. They don't want us to believe each other because they make more money off us with hatred. Keep the world divided and keep it stupid. So they look at it. But there's no need for division anywhere.
It is definitely no need. Yeah. Well, I appreciate this conversation. It has been very, very good. And I hope that whomever gets to hear this, it resonate with you, that it adds value to your life. And if it does, please feel free to share it in the comments so other people can read it and get more value. We're just all in the same, being connected. I greatly appreciate you, Burrow.
We'll get there one day, just outside of my lifetime.
One day. Well, in the meantime,
Hopefully for the
guys,
children.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, for the little ones. Well, we're gonna sign off from there. I greatly appreciate all of those that will be watching later. But from my heart to yours, thank you, and I love you. Bye.
Take care.